Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to gaze in wonder and astonishment as we flush the oil system on a Husqvarna 555 chainsaw. Yeah, I know, you waited all week for this one. And this is what you're going to get. So the customer complaint is that it oils erratically. Well, if you look at this bar, it looks like it's kind of pumping oil up to the bar, but the oil feed hole in the bar is, in this case, partially plugged. No matter, the customer requested that we flush the oil system because he's been having intermittent problems. So to get at the oil pump, we're going to take our big ugly dugger machine and spin the clutch off. Remember, it's reverse threads. If you're using a hammer and a punch, whatever, it's reverse threads. So now that we have the clutch, drum, and bearing out of the way, this tan piece is our oiler worm gear. It's driven by the clutch drum, and in turn it drives the oil pump. Always check the threads on this gear, because if the pump seizes, that gear is going to be stripped. Pretty clean underneath here. Got no complaints. We're going to get that, I just want to see if that pump turns. And it does. It's not seized up. So we're going to look into the tank and see what it looks like in there. A lot of times people have let sawdust and stuff build up around the outside of the chainsaw, and then they want to refill the tank out in the field, and stuff drops in there, and lather, rinse, and repeat, and pretty soon you got a tank full of schmutz, right? So this isn't the greatest video shot right here, but we're spraying some carb clean inside that tank to flush out any debris that's in there. You can use whatever you want. Sometimes I use gasoline. They're just flushing it out. Once we got it flushed out, we can take a look inside. Looking inside the tank, it's pretty clean. Right there is the tank vent, that little green piece that you see there. And then that bronze piece is the oil filter, and just for reference, that's the bar stud. If you had to replace a bar stud, you would just punch it through from the outside, it would land in the tank, and you would reinsert it from the tank side back to the case. So we're not filling it with backup with oil right now because the pump's coming off. We don't want a big mess. 2 screws hold this plastic bodied pump onto the saw. We'll get those out of the way. See the shiny part on the end of that pump? There's a hole on each side. One side is the hole where it draws from the tank, and the other side is the hole where it pumps up to the bar. Sometimes you'll find debris blocking those smaller holes. If it made it past the filter in the tank, you can build up there at the pump, and that could create a problem. So we're blowing backwards out this hose that feeds the bar. And if you remove the oil cap, you can blow the hose out between the pump and the tank if you want to clean the filter without removing it. Just be sure you don't blow the filter off the end of the hose. Sometimes that can be a pain in the butt to get back together. We're going to reassemble the pump with Loctite. We don't want that coming loose or falling off. If it starts to run a little bit crooked on there because of a loose screw, you can start stripping gears on the worm gear. Stripping teeth, stripping threads. Excuse me, whatever you want to call it. So we'll snug that down pretty decent. Loctite will hold it in place. Clean off the worm gear, and I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the threads of the worm gear. Later you'll see that we grease the inner area of that gear as well, where it slides over the crankshaft. So this crank is cross drilled so that you can grease the clutch bearing, with everything put together and assembled. You just pump grease in from the end, and it'll grease that bearing. So I was just blowing out that hole to make sure that there's no debris in there. And you saw we greased the worm gear, and now we're going to grease the bearing manually and put that on the crankshaft. Take a look at our clutch drum. Blow some of the schmutz off of it. So our rim drive, if you aren't aware, it has wear indicators on it. Those cross-drilled or cross-cut slots in there. They're kind of the opposite of the wear bars on your car tires. In the car, once you see the wear bars, you know that the tire is shot. But on the rim drive, when you can't see the groove anymore, you know it's worn past its service limits, and it's time to replace that rim drive sprocket. So we got the drum on. We're going to install the clutch, bass backwards threads. And I think that this tool I'm using to install it might actually be the wrong one for the job. I mean, it worked. You see when I go to take it off, I gotta kind of pry it off of there. If you're gonna be rattling on that thing, make sure you pull the starter rope out so you're not rattling it against the starter mechanism. Yeah, see, I had to pop that thing off of there. I think that's the wrong tool. I gotta look in my toolbox and see if I got the right one. That's kind of
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
Yeah. Alright, next step is apparently to clean this plate off of here. I don't know why I think that's so important, but that's what we're doing. If we test run it, it's just going to get full of oil anyway, so whatevs. Oh, what's the guy going to do? He's going to run it? Well, if he's going to run it, he's going to be making a lot of noise. You're not going to hear what I'm saying, so let's wrap this up. That's all I got for you on the Husqvarna 555 oil system flush. Thanks for watching. Later. Let's go. Let's wrap this up. Let's do it. Make it go vroom.